And then over here, we have Steve Shaw, who's going to speak tonight, but I want to have Steve stand up just for a minute, because today we had a ceremony. Jim Mulvihill was there, and Fred Charette was there, and who else was there? Anybody else at the California? David was there, and Nick was there, and Casey was there. You know, there may be more staff here that outnumber the. And anyway, Steve was in charge of it. He's the president, long-suffering president of our Historical and Pioneer Society. He does an elegant job, and we've worked together on some major projects. One of those projects was our historic depot.
Right.
When I came into office 5 years ago, we had restored the depot. We spent $18 million, mostly of federal bucks, to restore that beauty to its 1920 beauty yesteryear. But it was locked up tight as a tick. All the doors were bolted shut. And my first month in office, I got a letter from the president of Amtrak in Washington say, we are going to stopping at your depot on the Southwest Chief, to and from Los Angeles to Chicago. I said, and why is that? He said, because it's locked up. Our passengers have to walk around the depot to access our trains, and we're going to go to Riverside. And I said, time out. Let's work this out. We can be partners. Well, long story short, we worked it out. I went to Steve and his team and said, look, we need to have somebody responsible, trained as a docent, to open up twice a day the depot, that great lobby and the restrooms and all those facilities, to make it available to the passengers alighting from and boarding the chief. They're odd hours. It's early morning and late evening. And I talked to the Amtrak president, and I said, would you give to the city a modest amount of money every month for this volunteer service? And it's $500 a month?
Yeah, they give 500 and we split it.
Okay, so, and then I went to the city council, and I said to the city council, we're going to unlock the depot, train some docents, we're going to open and close it and greet the guests that are boarding the chief. Would you guys contribute, because I've said the better part of the deal was we're going to open up a museum in the old baggage storage area. It's 5,000 square feet, now it's
10,000.
10,000 now. We got doubled that sucker. The council gave us how much?
32,000.
32,000 to buy beautiful display cases and to prepare that beautiful museum. And you should see it. It is a knockout. How many of you have seen the museum? What do you think?
It is really actually quite impressive, considering that it wasn't done by professionals. I mean,
Right.
and also it's also interesting that Redlands has been trying to get its historical museum up and running for the last decade or so, and this one was done in no time at all.
Yeah.
Listen, Steve said when we opened up that museum, suddenly all the garages and storage units of all the old railroaders opened up for us. And they brought down stuff from yesteryear that matches the depot's age and beyond. And so we filled it in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah. And all the neighborhood around there is family from old railroaders. And they come in constantly bringing photos and artifacts.
It's probably the finest. Barstow's had one now in their El Zorrito for many years, but we knocked the socks off Barstow. Needles, my old hometown, is trying to get El Garza's up and going, and they're still struggling just to get it open. And we moved like the wind and put it together. And how many people come every Saturday when it's open?
We average over 100.
Every Saturday from all over the region they come down. And then, most importantly, though, we celebrate our history of the rails. It's a glorious part of who we are as a city, who we were, who we are, and who we will become, as we'll talk about momentarily. But talk about the celebrations that we do every year now with the train day, what we did this year for the bicentennial.
Right. It's San Bernardino Railroad Days. And what this is, we bring in an old steam engine, 3751, which...
Not just, it's our steam engine.
Oh, yeah. It's the one that stayed in that park there, Viaduct Park, for over 30 years. And...
Rusted to a halt.
Right. And then it was given to this group, the San Bernardino Railroad.
We sold it for $1 to a bunch of ex-engineers and firemen.
They did a great job of restoring it. It's back to running condition.
Wow.
And comes
It
back
is.
to the depot.
It's a
beautiful.
1928 Baldwin locomotive, the greatest locomotive, steam locomotive ever produced for Santa Fe. It ran the super cheap, basically, for all those years, 110 miles an hour on the high rail. That sucker moved. Got people from LA to Chicago in 42 hours, or your money back guaranteed. I mean, it's a mover and a shaker engine, and it's ours. The deal we made with the group was that we would have access to it at least once a year. So they hold it on a Hobart Yard in LA, and they maintain it down there, but we get access to it. And we brought it home with 4 historic cars behind it, sold tickets for that sucker. Casey and Steve and Alan worked on that, and we paid for it. It was no cost to the city. How many thousands came for train day?
Oh, gosh, 8,000.
8,000.
Yeah, for a 2-day event.
And then some of us dressed up. I dressed up as Mayor McNabb from 1920s, and my wife was in a knockout outfit, and we had Emil Marzillo, our EDA director, and his wife, and we had my assistant Julie Fraser Matthews as a flapper, and her children were shoeshine guys, and there were about 15 people that dressed up in period costumes, and we came off as if we were coming out of LA for a women's temperance union meeting. And we had signs that says, can the booze, sobriety overall, kind of, and it made for good humor and some good times. Anyway, we've got a depot restored and active, and we also, as a result of opening the depot, getting those damn locks off the doors, we've got a vendor in there now. We've got somebody in the lobby every day, all day now, marketing drinks and food. Every morning when the Metro Links leave here to go to LA, there's a cart out there with piping hot coffee and donuts and rolls. And we're building. We're finishing up a 430 car, 3.5 deck tiered parking garage for our Metrolink customers at the station. $7.5 million. You're doing the job. Tell us about it.
My hands hurt me.
David is in charge of building this beautiful new asset in our city. Tell us about the parking structure, just for a minute.
Well, it's a parking structure. It's a lot of steel and concrete, and it is going to be vintage architecture. It's going to have the towers and the finishes, and it's going to complement the beautiful depot. And it'll be done about February, March of 2000.
And it's going to be really...
And it's free parking for now, I think.
Right.
You're not going to charge yet.
I'm going to charge so folks can board the depot. I mean, we get people coming down from Victorville, from Bannon and Beaumont coming in to get the Metrolink into LA every morning. We load out every day from our stations on this line. There are 5 Metrolink lines. I serve on the Metrolink board, and I'm soon to be the vice president of that board. And if I do my job right, I'll be the president of Metrolink next couple of years. We serve 1 million passengers a month. We load out 12 to 14,000 people every day on our line. By far the largest line. We're trained transit people, man. We know how to use transit out here. We double the Orange County line, the Palmdale line, the Ventura line, and the Riverside line with our loadouts. So we know how to use trains, and we enjoy that very much. But today we didn't celebrate the depot. We did celebrate another historic building.
Right. The California Theater that has been in San Bernardino since 1928. It's a beautiful old theater. I used to go there as a kid and watch movies. It's a great theater, and it was put on the National Register of Historic Places
Today.
Thanks for all the work of Jim Mulvihill.
Yeah, Jim Mulvihill, one of your good citizens of this area of our city, did all the groundwork for that. That's not tell us how you qualify. It's not an easy process, is it, Jim?
Well, it goes to the National Park Service is the one that keeps the National Register, and their specifications, it's a government agency, 600 pages long, reads through all the requirements. But basically, something has to be 50 years old. But beyond that, it has to be connected with a historic individual, a historic period, and there's a couple of the criteria, but I think those are the two that, in the architecture, that California was And it's not an easy process. It took about a year and a half and about 5 different submissions, and they didn't like this and they didn't like that. But basically, it's worth it.